Let me share my screen, guys. Everyone, can you see my screen, right? Sai Teja, you there? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So yeah. So I think yesterday we started discussing, right? Constructors, right? Yeah. Can you please someone tell me what is the constructor, guys? Tell me, someone, what is the constructor? What is the purpose of constructor?
Constructor is to initialize the object.
Hmm?
Initialization of
Constructor.
object.
Tell me, if you're not opening now, how can you open it in front of interviewer? Okay. You have to habituate it, guys. So you have to expose. I think you have to open your mouth and you have to explain the things what we have discussed. So then only you can open your mouth in front of interview, right? Yeah. What are the things you learn? Whether it is right or wrong, just try to open. Then only your communication also will improve. The people who are struggling with a little bit communication and okay. If you're not doing anything, definitely if you have good knowledge also, if you have good skills also, okay. But end of the day, if you're not communicating with what the skills you have, then how the interviewer will know, right? So skills, communication skill also important. So communication means you should not have a good vocabulary, English and all, guys. So what are the thing you want to communicate with the other people? You both should, okay, understand each other. Okay, if you are able to communicate the things what you want to explore with others, if they are able to understand, if you are also able to understand, then it would be okay. Understand? But you have to open your mouth, then only communication also will improve. Fine, guys. Now, constructor. Okay. So let me write few points, guys. After after creating an object, okay, after creating an object, okay, we should, right, we should we have to perform ours. After creating an object, we have to perform initialization, right? Initialization of an object. Okay, initialization of an object. So then only that object is in a position to respond properly, right? That object is in position to respond, right? Respond properly. Am I right or not? So after creating an object, we have to perform initialization of an object. So then only that object is in position to respond properly, right? So then only we can say that object have, right, some sense, right? If you have a realistic data, then only we can use that object into our business functionality, right? Am I right or not? No, no. Whenever we are creating an object, some piece of code, okay, will be executed automatically to perform initialization of an object. This piece of code is nothing but what, guys? Constructor, right? So that's what yesterday we discussed, right? Come on.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Whenever we are creating an object, okay, object, some piece of code executing automatically, right? Automatically to perform what? To perform initialization of an object. Okay? To perform initialization of an object. So that piece of code is called what, guys? The piece of code is called constructor. Come on, guys, follow me. Respond. Constructor. Right? Fine?
Yeah.
No. Okay, Hence, so what is the main object of constructor here, guys? Hence, the main objective of, tell me, the main objective of constructor is, now tell me what is the main objective of constructor?
Initialization of
Initialization
object.
of
To perform initialization of an object, right? Initialization. Initialization of an object. So what is the main objective of constructor here? The main objective of constructor is to perform initialization of an object, right? So these are the things we have discussed, okay, in previous class days, right? Now let me open directly. Shall we open Eclipse IDE? We'll see.
Yes, sir.
Now this PC, it is under C drive. Softwares, Eclipse IDE. Yeah. Now we'll create one project, Java project. So here, constructors, okay. Yeah. Constructors, let me put demo or something. Okay, I'm creating one project called constructors. But now under this project, let me create a class. Class. Okay. Constructor demo src. So definitely, automatically by default, we have to keep one under one package, right? Now, com dot, okay. Com dot tech dot station, okay. Com dot tech dot station. That is the package name, guys. Now, what is the name here? Package class name, guys. Okay. Sorry, not package, constructor, right? Constructor demo. Okay. So this is the class name, right? Now I need public static void main also. Right? Class is created under com.tech.station package. Right? Already packages we discussed, guys, right? So no need to explain, right? So no. Now here, okay, I'm creating what, guys? Constructor demo. So constructor demo means what? What is the syntax of constructor? How can we create constructor, guys? Tell me.
class name.
With the class name.
The class name. Okay. So now I'm creating one constructor here, right? So okay, fine. Leave it here. This is the constructor demo. So let me create one more class, guys, here. I'm creating one more class. Okay. Now this class name is student. Okay. Student. I'm creating within the same package. Okay. Student class. I need what? I don't need public static void main. Okay. So no, let me keep. Otherwise, we will remove. If not, we will remove. Right. So now, student class we have. Tell me, I'm creating student constructor. Okay. So before that, just I'm trying to add few instance variable. Tell me, private. Tell me instance variable.
ID.
Enter student ID. Right? In student ID. Next one, private string. Okay, student. Okay, student name. Fine. So now just I'm taking only two instance variables. Okay. So now I'm creating what? Constructor. So directly we can create, guys. In Eclipse, directly we can create constructor. See, if you select on the right click, there is a source, right? Where is source?
Yes.
Okay. If you click on source here, generate constructor should be there is an option where see
The
generate constructor using fields. If you select this one, automatically constructor will be generated, guys. Okay. See, construct automatically Eclipse ID itself will generate. Okay. So public student, int student ID, string student name. Okay. So proc. Okay. So let me remove this one first. We'll discuss case one by one. Don't worry. Now this dot student ID is equal to student ID. This dot student name is equal to student name. Right. So this is the way, right?
Yes.
Creating constructor already we see right yesterday. I mean the previous class.
Yes.
Right. So now
Yes,
here class name and constructor name should match. Right? Class name and constructor name should match. Student ID, student name. These are the what argument types. And this dot student ID is equal to student ID. This dot student name is equal to student name. Now let me put sys out. Okay. So here constructor. Okay. Just I'm typing one constructor. That's it. Okay, guys. So now, okay, this is the student class, right? So now, let me remove this public main method. Okay. So now, or else, first of all, let me write here, then we will see other class. Okay. Now we have a main method. So from here, yeah, let me create object of the student class. How can I create student? S1 is equal to new student. Okay. S1 is equal to new student. Here what instead of S1, if you want, we can put what? Okay, student Vignesh object. Now, tell me, what are the parameters we have to pass?
ID name.
ID and student name, right? Vignesh. Fine. So this is what? One student object. In the same way, I'm creating what? One more object. So now, instead of Vignesh here, now I'm putting Triveni. Okay. So here 102 and Triveni. Okay. You know, how many objects are created, guys?
Two
How many objects are created now?
objects.
Two objects are created.
two
Right?
objects,
So how many times constructor will execute?
2 times.
2 times.
Two times. Okay. So now I'm putting okay Sai Teja. So now here 103 and Sai Teja. Right. Now see, so dynamically we are assigning values to whom, guys? Instance variables. Okay. So dynamically, while creating object itself, we are assigning values to whom? The instance variables. Okay. By using what? Constructor. So we are performing initialization of an object while creating object of that class. Am I right or not? So now,
Yes.
if we execute this one, the first class, right? Student. Now, see how many times the constructor
3 times.
printing 3 times. So that in what that mean? So
3
here
times.
3 times constructor is executing. Understand? So for each and every time when the object is created, each and every time constructor also will executing. Understand? So here this is the one constructor call, right? This is the one constructor call, right? So I mean, so who created object by using new operator? Object is created, right? On
Yes,
top
sir.
of that, constructor will perform what? Initialization of an object, right? So JVM will automatically call this constructor by passing what? These argument values. Am I right or not? For each and every time whenever we are trying to create an object, each and every time the constructor will execute, guys. Fine. So, come on, guys. Fine.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, fine.
So this is what constructor. Now we will go for other things, guys. Okay. So fine. Now we will see the rules, guys. Constructor rules. Okay. So what are the rules we need to follow while creating constructor? Rules for, okay, creating constructor. Okay. Rules for creating constructor. Fine, guys. So now, what are the rules we have to follow while creating constructor? Okay, fine. So now, let me go here. So this is the student class, right? Now, see, first of all, let me try this one. We need some space, right? Yeah, fine. So now, so first of all, so always, okay, the class name and constructor name should match, right?
Yes.
Class student, let's suppose class student we have. So for this class student, if you want to create a constructor means what? Definitely constructor
name.
name also should match. Should match with what? Class name.
Class
Okay.
name.
So that is the first rule, guys. Okay. So class name and constructor name should match. Okay. That is the first one. No. The second one. Okay. So what is the return type for constructors? Okay. So what is the return type for constructors? Okay. So constructors, okay, doesn't have any return type, guys. We should not put any return type for constructors. So why? Understand? Here, what I'm asking, you know? Okay. Return type concept is not applicable for constructor, even void also. Understand? By mistake, if you are declaring return type for the constructor, then we won't get any compile time error and runtime error. Okay. It is a simply treated as what? Method. Okay. Let me explain you. What is the second rule? What is the first rule, guys? The constructor name and the class name should match. That is the first rule. Okay. Now, what is the second one here? So, return type. So, return type is not at all applicable for constructor. So why, guys? Okay. So who is calling this constructor?
JVM.
JVM is calling this constructor. Understand? So if you return something, who will receive that return value? JVM will receive that return value. So with that return value, JVM, what it will do? Am I right or not? Let's suppose we have a methods. For methods, we have a what? Return types. Am I right or not? For methods, we have a return types. So if you call that method, if that method returns something means who is calling that method? As a programmer, based on our requirement, we are calling that method. So if that method returns something means what? We will receive that method because we are calling that method from another class or another method so that we can hold that value, return value. So by using that value, we may, okay, we may invoke, okay, another method. We may pass this return value as an input to call another method. Am I right or not? Okay. But here, constructor means who is calling this constructor? We are not calling. JVM is calling constructor. Am I right or not? So if
Yes.
if you return something means who will receive that something value, some return value? JVM will receive that return value. Right or not? So
Yes, sir.
JVM means we cannot access, right? So what JVM will do with the return value? If you receive the return value, then you can do something, right? By using that return value, you can call some other method by passing as an input argument or something you have to call, right? You can use that return value to perform something else. But here what? We are not calling. JVM is calling constructor. So that's what, here what? Constructor, okay, return type concept is not applicable for constructor. Clear? Even void also. Understand? Even void also. So by mistake, if you are declaring return type for the constructor, then we won't get any compile time error, guys. See here. So let me write the first point. What is the first point, guys? First rule. What is the first rule?
Constructor name should be
Same as
class
full
name.
match.
Library. 16, right? First one. Yeah. So what is the first point, guys? Class name and
Yes.
constructor name should match. That is the first rule. Okay. The second one. Okay. For constructor, return type. Okay. Return type concept is not applicable for constructors. Right? Return type concept is not applicable for constructor, even void also. Right? If you put some return type for constructor, okay, we will not get any compile time or runtime error. Okay, we will not get any compile time or runtime error, guys. Okay, simply, okay. Simply, it is treated as what? Method. Okay. Fine. So here, okay. So the return type concept. Okay. So constructors. So there is a Return type concept is not applicable for constructor, even void also. If you put some return type for constructor, we will not get any compile time error, runtime error. Simply it is treated as what, guys? Method. Okay. So let me go and explain here in Eclipse IDE. Now we have a constructor, right? Public student in student ID, student name. So here, do we have any return type? We don't have any return type. Because why? Return type is not applicable for constructor. Already we discussed that. Right? Now, I'm keeping some return type here. Okay. I'm keeping some return type here. So here, if you keep some return type means what? We need to return that value, right? Something like I'm returning. See here. This is what now?
Method.
I'm keeping one return type here. Okay. Now we will not get any compile time error and runtime error. Understand? So now this constructor will become what, guys? Now method. Understand? This constructor will become what? Method. See here automatically. When I'm trying to call object of this, when I'm trying to create object of this class, see here, we are getting what? Errors, compile time errors. Why? Here I'm trying to create object by calling what, guys? Parameterized constructor. But here there is no constructor. Am I right or not? Here there is no constructor. Now this is what? Not a constructor. This is method now. Understand? Everyone. Okay.
Okay.
Now if
Yes,
I
sir.
put void also. See now I'm putting void, guys. Void means what? If you are not returning anything, then we have to keep what? Void. See now this method, this constructor will become what, guys? Method. See here, we're getting errors, right?
Yes.
While creating object of this class, we are making what we are calling what? Constructors, parameterized constructor. But it is saying what? There is no constructor. See, the constructor student is undefined. Like that it is saying. Means what? So there is no constructor, there is no parameterized constructor. Understand? Everyone.
Yes.
Okay. So now, so that's what, okay. For constructor in Java, so there is no concept called return type for constructors. Even if you put return type some void or int, okay, we will not get any compile time error. Okay, while creating constructor, guys. While creating constructor, we will not get any compile time error. So let me comment these three. Okay. So now if you see here, I'm keeping what? Void. Void means what? Return type. Right. So now, do you see any compile time error here? No. Right. So this is, okay, this constructor now will become what, guys? Method. So now this is what? Method. Okay. How to call this method? Just we have to create object of the student class. And by using that object, you can call what? This method. Understand? But if you see student, student is what, guys? Exactly same as class name. Understand? But in Java, okay, so we should not create method name with exactly same as class name, guys. Okay, that is applicable only for what? Constructors. Understand? So if you have a method like this, it is a stupid, guys. Understand? If you have a method like this, I mean what? The method name matching with class name. This is what, guys, it's a kind of stupid thing. Understand? So only class name and constructor. These both are matched. Okay. That is applicable for what? Only for constructor, guys. Class name and constructor name should be matched. That is only applicable for constructor. Understand? But if you create a method like this also, you will not get any compile time error, runtime error. But it is not a good programming practice. Understand? Everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let me remove void. So now this is what, guys? Constructor. Okay. Now this is become what, guys? Constructor. I'm uncommenting, guys. Fine. Okay. So that is what, guys? Oh, second rule. Okay. So hope you people understand what is the second rule of constructor. Now, so next one, what is the third one? Okay. What is the third one? No. See here. Okay. Now, access modifiers. So what should be the access modifier we have to take while creating constructor? Understand? So now the only applicable modifiers for constructors are the only applicable modifiers for constructors are, okay, private. Understand? Private, default. Understand? Protected and public. The only applicable modifiers for constructors are what, guys? Public, I mean private, default, protected, and public. By mistake, if you are using any other modifier, we will get compile time error, guys. Okay? These are the applicable modifiers for constructors. Okay? If you provide any other modifier, we will get what? Compile time error. We will get compile time error. Clear? The only applicable modifier for constructors are either private, default, protected, and public. Okay. By mistake, if we are providing any other modifier, we will get compile time error. Fine. So here, what does that means? Here, if you see here, Eclipse IDE. Okay. See here, student. Student is what, guys? Constructor, right? Now, if you see here, what is the class name access modifier area? Public.
Public.
So that's what by default class level modifier, okay, will be copied to at constructor level. Understand? So that's why here see student automatically public. Who created the student constructor? IDE created. So we used it, right? We generated, right?
Yes.
So see here automatically the IDE will take what? Class
Public.
level access modifier to okay constructor level. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now this is what, guys? Constructor. So what are the applicable access modifier here? Now let me remove public here. So this is what, guys? Default. Right? If you are not writing any access modifier means what is the default access modifier? Default. So come on, guys. Already we discussed, right? Access modifier.
Yes.
What is the scope of private? What is the scope of default? What is the scope of protected? What is the scope of public? At class level access modifier also we discussed. Member level access modifier also we discussed. Come on. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Already we have written two important examples also on that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Come on. Let me open your mouth. Then please open your mouth. Okay. Now this is what, guys? Default. I mean default access modifier. For this constructor, what is the access modifier? Default access modifier. Understand? So if you want default access modifier means what? Tell me what default access modifier means. What is the scope of default access modifier? Come on, guys.
The package.
Huh? Come on.
The package.
Within the package. Okay. Default access modifier means what? Package level access modifier. So package level access modifier means what? Within the package. Okay. If you make default constructor here means what? Within the package, if you call this, okay, if you create object of this class, okay. So within the package from another class, you can call this constructor. Understand? So now let me see here. Student class we have. This is what student constructor, right? So within the class also I can call this constructor. See here I'm calling, right? Public static void main method. Where I'm calling this constructor, student constructor within the class. Am I right or not? Within the class also we can call, or else we have one more class right here, constructor demo. So here we have public static void main method, right?
Yes.
Okay, public static void main method, right? Here, let me create student. Student Jyoti is equal to new student. So now, what is the 103 ID? What is the name? Jyotika. Student name. Come on, guys. Okay. So this is the one object. The same way, I'm creating one more object. Student. Okay. Shiva is equal to new student. Here what? 104 and Shiva Krishna. Understand? I'm creating one more object. Okay. See here. Do you see any compile time errors? So this is what? Another class, constructor demo, right? So this constructor demo class and student class, where these two classes are available?
Same package.
Under same package.
The same package.
Okay. So that's why under same package, see, I'm in this class, constructor demo class. Okay. I'm trying to create object for what, guys? Student class object. Understand? See, here I'm trying to create what? Object for student class. Student Jyoti is equal to new student of 103 Jyotika, right? Why in constructor class, in student class, what is the constructor here? Default access modifier constructor. So default access modifier constructor means where we can access within the class also we can access, and outside of the class within the package we can access. Understand? So
Yes,
within the package, outside of the class also we can access. See now constructor demo, this is outside of the class, right? So but constructor demo where it is available? Within the package. Am I right or not?
Yeah, right.
Come on guys, please let me know. Understand? Clear everyone?
Yeah, clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, tell me. Any doubts? Someone is saying, right? No? Okay, fine. Now, okay. Now, this is what default constructor. Now, if I put protected, protected means what, guys? Tell me, protected. If you put protected access modifier for this constructor means, within the package,
Child class.
huh?
Child class of the
Child class of other.
So within the package we can access, right? So within the package, outside of the class also we can access, but outside of the package, if you try to access this class, okay, that class and this class should have some relationship. I mean, in child class of the outside of the class, we can able to access. That's what, right? Protected. Already we discussed it, right?
Yes.
Here,
Yes.
everyone. Okay. Now, if you put public means what?
Everywhere.
Everywhere,
Anywhere.
anywhere, okay, we can access this constructor, right? So any class, irrespective of package, okay, if you want to create object of this class from any other class, irrespective of package, we can able to create object of this class. We can happily invoke this constructor. So that is what, guys, public access modifier. Clear, everyone? Now, if I put private,
Within the class only.
if I put private, so private means what, guys?
Within the class only we can
In the
access.
class only we can able to access this constructor. Outside of the class, within the package or outside of the class, okay, other package also we cannot access. Understand? So within the class only we can able to access. Am I right or not? See here, within the class only here, public static void main method. This is what? Within the class. Within the class only I'm trying to create object of this student class. So by calling what? This constructor. Am I right or not?
Yeah, right.
So I can able to access or not? I can able to access because what? Private. Private means what? Within the class only. But outside of the class, we cannot create. See here, if you open constructor demo, if you open this constructor demo class, you will see them compile time error. See here. Are you seeing?
Yes.
So why student constructor is what?
Right. Access.
Private access modifier, right? Private access modifier means what? Within the class only we can able to access. So outside of the class we cannot access. Clear? See here, the constructor student is not visible. So like that, it is showing. Clear, everyone? Okay. So, so these are the rules. Okay, we have to follow while creating constructor. Right? What is the first rule, guys? The class name and constructor name should match. That is the first rule. The second rule is, what is the second rule, guys? So return type concept is not applicable for constructor, even void also. If you put some return type for constructor, we will not get any compile time or runtime error. Simply it is treated as what, guys? Method. Understand? So what is the third rule we have to follow? The only applicable modifier for constructors are private, default, protected, and public. If you provide any other modifier, we will get what?
Compile time.
Compile time error. Understand? Everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you put any other modifier, guys, we have a lot of other modifiers, right? Static
Final.
modifier, final, abstract, we have a lot of things. Okay. If you put any modifier, you will get what, guys? Compile time error. Okay. Clear, everyone? So that is what rules for writing constructor. Okay. Now we will go for next one, guys. So what is the next topic? Okay. So what is the default constructor. Default constructor. Right. So next topic is what? Default constructor. So what is default constructor? Okay. Now I'm writing one class here. Class student I'm writing. Okay. I'm writing what, guys? Class student. Okay. This is valid class. Is this
Right.
valid class or not? Valid class, right?
Valid.
Now,
Valid.
now, so here, so do you see any constructor here?
No.
No, sir. No.
No? I'm saying, yes, I'm seeing one constructor here. But you guys are saying, no, we don't have any constructor here. But I am
While
saying,
running JVM
there is a
itself, we
constructor.
create the constructor for that class.
Yeah, so that's what. So here, I'm saying what? Yes, boss, I'm able to see one constructor here. Are you guys able to see? Hmm? No? Huh? Tell me, guys. I'm saying
No.
I can see one constructor here, but you guys are saying, are you guys also able to see the same constructor what I'm seeing now in this class? Come on, guys. Okay. No. See here for this class. Okay. So we have what class student. Simply we have written one class, guys. That's it. Okay. So now let me write here what, guys? Int student ID, right? Int ID. Okay. Next one string name. Right? String name. So this is what instance variable of student class. Okay. Now public static void main string args we have. String args we have. This is what main method. Right? So this is my class. Okay. Here right. So here, so I'm creating object of the student class. Student S1 is equal to new student. Understand? Student S1 is equal to new student. Like that, I'm creating one object. So by using new operator here, what? One object is created. That's what we discussed, right? One object is created and the default, the default initialization variables, sorry, instance variables will be copied into that particular object. Separate copy of instance variable will be copied, right? So what is the by default values? JVM will provide some default values, right? ID means 0, name is null, right?
Yes.
Come on. So now here, if you see this class student, okay, you guys are saying, so there is no constructor here. But I am saying, so there is a one constructor here, right? So if you are not writing any constructor, what compiler will think, hey, this developer seems to be innocent. He don't know anything about constructor, it seems. Okay. Okay. Let me create one constructor, okay, behalf of him. So like that, compiler will think and compiler will create what? Default constructor, guys. So always default constructor, okay, should be matched with the same class name and no argument constructor, guys. So compiler will create one default argument constructor, right? The default argument constructor, sorry, the default constructor, right? The default constructor always it should be what? No argument constructor. Understand? No argument constructor. And here access modifier, what should be the access modifier here? Same as class access modifier. If you see here in this class, what is the access modifier? Default access modifier. So that's what in student class also, what is the access modifier here? Default access modifier. So now who created this constructor? Compiler will create constructor. Understand? So here and this default constructor which is created by the compiler, what is the first statement by default? Superop. Understand? Superop. So by default, every default constructor, okay, who created by compiler, what is the first statement inside the default constructor, guys? Super. Understand? What is the first statement? Each and every default constructor which is created by compiler, guys. Super. Understand? Hello. Come on, guys. Please
Super.
respond.
Super.
Listening. Come
Yes,
on,
sir.
guys. Listening or not? Everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes, sir.
so
Yeah.
this is the what default constructor. Who created this default constructor, guys? Who created this default constructor? Compiler is created
Compiler.
default constructor. Okay. Now, compiler created this default constructor. Understand? Compiler will create this default constructor. Understand? So if you're not written any constructor in your class, okay, who will provide? Compiler will create one default constructor. So always, so compiler provide a default constructor, right? So what is the argument type, guys? No argument constructor. Always compiler created what? No argument constructor. Clear? Everyone. Okay. So,
Yes,
so every class in Java, we have what, guys? Then constructor concept, right? Every class in Java contains what? Constructor concept, right? See, if you are not writing constructor, means who will write? Compiler will generate default constructor. Means what? Every Java class, if you take, there should be one constructor, whether explicit constructor or default constructor, which is generated by compiler. Am I right or not? If you are not writing any constructor, then only compiler will generate default constructor, guys. Understand? So when the compiler will generate default constructor, if you are not writing any constructor for that class, then only compiler will generate what? Default constructor. Compiler will think like, hey, this guy might not know anything about constructor, seems to be is an innocent. Let me create one default constructor behalf of him. Okay. So like that, it will create one default constructor. Understand? So if you are not writing any constructor, then only compiler will generate what? Default constructor. So if you are writing at least one constructor, then compiler will not generate any default constructor, guys. Understand? So if you are writing at least one constructor, then compiler will not generate what? Default constructor. So here, who will generate this default constructor? Compiler generated. Why? In this class, you have not written any constructor. Understand? In this class, you have not written any constructor. So that's why compiler will generate what? One default constructor. Now, the same way I'm taking one more class here, student. Right? So now, student I'm taking. In this student, okay, so I have what? Int ID also I have, and string name also I have. These are what? Instance variable. Okay. Now I created what? Constructor. Come on, guys. Int ID, string name. This dot ID is equal to ID. Tell me, this dot name is equal to what? Name. Come on. Right? This is what? Class. So for this class, do you see any constructor? Come on, guys. For this class, do you see any constructor?
Constructor.
No.
Here, student.
Directly can't.
Huh? In this class, do you see any constructor?
Yes.
Yes,
We have
sir.
constructor or not? Yes, we
Yes,
have a
sir.
constructor. So we have a constructor, right? Student int ID string name. What is this parameterized constructor? So we have
Yes, sir.
parameter, right? Argument types, string, int ID, and string name. This is what parameterized constructor. So who created this constructor? We created. Developer only created this constructor while creating class. Now, okay. Now compiler will not generate what? Default constructor. If the class contain any constructor explicitly, then compiler will not generate what? Default constructor. Okay. If the class doesn't contain any constructor, so then only compiler will generate what? One default constructor. If a class contains at least one constructor explicitly, then compiler will not generate any default constructor. Clear?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
So
sir.
here, if you see in this class, here what? Here in this class student, the left side class. In the left side class, we did not create any constructor. Understand? So that's why compiler will create what? One default constructor. Understand? Compiler will create what? One default constructor. So no argument, default constructor, compiler will create. Because here, we have not written any constructor explicitly in this class. But if you come to here, the second example in the class student, in this example already we have written what? One constructor, right? So if you have a constructor explicitly, right? So now compiler will not generate any default constructor. Clear everyone?
Yes, sir.
Now, yeah. Hence, every class can contain what? Either programmer written constructor or compiler generated constructor. Understand? Either programmer written constructor or compiler generated constructor. Every Java class should contain what? Either programmer written constructor or compiler generated constructor. Clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay. But not both simultaneously, guys. Okay. But not both simultaneously. In every Java class, we can have either programmer written constructor or compiler generated constructor, default constructor, but not both simultaneously. Means what? If you have written any constructor explicitly, means what? Compiler will not generate default constructor. Understand? So we should not have both compiler generated constructor and programmer generated constructor in a single class. That I want to tell you here. Clear everyone?
Yeah.
Any doubts here?
No,
Any
sir.
doubts? Okay, let me explain you one more time, guys. Let me summarize you. What is default constructor means? Okay. So now in a Java class, okay, if you have not written any constructor explicitly, I mean what? Programmer not created any constructor explicitly, then compiler will generate one default constructor. That is always what? No argument constructor. Understand? No argument constructor. Who created, guys? Compiler will create it. Clear? Everyone? Now in Java class, the programmer has, if programmer created one constructor, right? Explicitly, programmer written one constructor means what? Compiler will not generate any default constructor. Understand or not? If Java class, already constructor is there, guys. Who has written, who created the constructor? Programmer created one constructor. If programmer created one constructor, then compiler will not generate what? Default constructor. When the compiler will generate default constructor, if program is not created any constructor, then only compiler will generate default constructor. If already programmer written some constructor, then compiler will not generate any default constructor. Clear?
Yeah, clear.
Okay. Now, here, the third point. In Java class, we can have either programmer generated constructor, programmer created constructor, or compiler generated constructor, but not both simultaneously. Clear? 3 points, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Guys, please respond, guys. I'm seeing only 1 or 2 people are responding. What about remaining 8 or 9 people? Saiteja, clear?
Yes, sir.
the 3 points.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, no, let me write those points, guys. Come on, make it fast. Every Java class
Yes.
should contain one constructor. Should contain constructor. Okay. Should contain constructor. Every Java class will constructor. Right. Now, in Java class, if the programmer has not written any constructor, then compiler will generate
Default.
Default constructor.
default constructor. Okay. Now, if programmer has written any constructor explicitly in a Java class, then compiler will not generate any default constructor, right? Come on. Now, in every Java class, we should contain, right, either programmer written
Within constructs.
constructor or
Compiler.
compiler generated constructor, but not both simultaneously. Clear? These 3 points. Everyone,
Yes.
but not
Yes.
both simultaneously, right? No.
Yeah.
Now we will see. So what is the prototype of default constructor, guys? Okay. Prototype of default constructor. Just now we see, right? Who will generate the default constructor? Compiler will generate default
Compiler.
constructor. So now we have to see what is the prototype of default constructor. Now we are discussing about what, guys? Student class, right? For student class, so what is the prototype of default constructor here? Student. Okay. Always no argument constructor, right? Default constructor means what? No argument constructor. Understand? So this is what prototype of constructor, default constructor. What is the first statement for every default constructor which is generated by compiler, guys? Super off. Understand? So prototype of default constructor. So it is always what, guys? No argument constructor. Okay. So we will discuss, guys, one by one. Okay. What is the prototype of default constructor? So now, so this is the what, guys? Default constructor for student class. Who will generate the above one? Who will generate the above one?
Compiler.
Okay. Now, so it is what, guys? It is always no arg constructor. Okay. No arg constructor. Here, see, there is no arguments, right? There is no arguments here. That's what no arg constructor. Clear? Hey, come on, guys. Please respond. It is always what? No arg constructor.
Yes.
Okay. So the next one. So access modifier. Okay. So we'll come to access modifier. What is the access modifier here?
Default.
Default.
So access modifier of default constructor is exactly same as what? Class modifier, guys. Okay. Access modifier for default constructor is exactly same as class modifier. Understand? If the class modifier is default, then constructor access modifier also default. If the class modifier is public, then default constructor access modifier also public. Clear or not?
Yeah,
Hello.
clear. Yes.
So here what are the applicable access modifier default constructors? Okay. Applicable. Tell me. Applicable access modifiers for default constructor. Tell me.
Public, private, protected, default.
Applicable access modifiers for default constructors are, tell me, what are those?
Public, private,
Hmm.
default,
Public?
private,
No, only public and default. Okay. What are the applicable access modifier for default constructor, guys? Only public and default. So who created default constructor? Tell me. Who created default constructor? Programmer created?
Program.
Who created? Who
compiler.
created default? Compiler created default constructor, right? So always while creating default constructor by compiler, so if you see the access modifier, always compiler will copy class level access modifier for constructor. Understand? So now at class level, what are the access modifiers applicable? Tell me, what are the access modifier applicable at class level? Come on, guys,
Public.
already we discussed.
Public,
Public, default,
private,
only the private.
No.
For class also, general class.
Can you create?
class level, private will be.
Can you create private class? Come on, guys. Can we
No.
create private class?
No.
We cannot create, right? So that's what already we discussed, right? That time.
Yes, sir.
So what are the applicable modifiers applicable for class level? Only public and default, right? Hello,
Yes,
if you
sir.
create private class means what is the use of that class, guys? So
Yes,
class
sir.
means what?
Yes.
If we are creating one class means what? We are defining some functionality of that class. So why you are defining some functionality of that class? So some other class maybe, okay, some other class maybe want to use that functionality of your class. Then only we are creating class, right?
Yes.
Right. If you are making private means what? Your class is
You
not
can
at all
add-
applicable for, okay, for any other class. Some other class, we cannot access your class functionality. In that case, what is the use of creating a class here? Why you are creating class? In the class, we are defining some functionality of some functionality, right? Some business functionality we are defining. So why you are defining some business functionality? Because we need to use those functionality wherever you want. Some other class, just we want to use this class functionality. Let's suppose student class I have created and department class I have created. In department class, I want to use the functionality of student class, right?
Yes,
So then
sir.
what I have to do for department class, I want to create object of this student class. Am I right or not?
Right.
Right. So then only the class will be useful.
Yes.
But if you make it private means what? The class
can
itself is not useful. Then what is the use of creating class? Right? So that's what we cannot create a class with private access modifier. If you try to create with the if you try to create private access modifier with the class, then we will get compile time error. So already we discussed, guys. Come on. I don't know what you guys are doing. I'm not asking any question which I did not discuss here. We spent a lot of time over there. But you guys are not opening your mouth, means what I can do? Tell me, already we discussed or not?
Yeah, already discussed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so no. Protected. Protected also applicable for what, guys? Only members, sir. Okay, only for class members, member variables and member methods.
Very.
Not applicable for what? Class level. Clear? Everyone. Now,
Yeah.
what are the applicable modifier for class level? Now, access modifier, public and default. Clear?
Exactly.
So, while creating default constructor, who is created default constructor? Compiler is created default constructor. Right? Now, compiler will copy what? Class level access modifier. Then what are the applicable access modifier for default constructor here? Only public and default. Public and default, only these two are the applicable access modifier for class level, right? Am I right or not?
Yeah, right.
Okay. So, what are the applicable access modifier for default constructors are, guys? Public and
Public
default.
and default.
Okay. So now, what is the next one? Next point here. Okay. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So now, what is the third one? Okay. This default constructor, it contains only one line, guys. It contains only one line. So that is what, guys? Superoff. Okay. Superoff. It is also superoff. What is superoff? Okay. It is no argument call to superclass constructor. Understand, guys? Superoff means what? We are calling, okay, superclass constructor, guys. No argument call. Superoff. See here, there is no argument. Okay. Superoff means what? Okay, superclass constructor. Okay. It is no argument call to superclass constructor. Understand?
Yeah.
See here, superoff. Student class, right? So this is the default constructor, right? If you see a superoff. Superoff means what? For every default constructor which is generated by compiler, what is the first line, guys? Superoff. In this default constructor, what is the first line? Superoff. Okay. Who created this constructor? Compiler is created. Okay, superoff means what? So from here, we are invoking what? Superclass constructor. Superclass constructor. Understand? Superoff means what? We are invoking superclass constructor. Okay. Don't worry. We will discuss while discussing inheritance concept. While discussing parent class and child class, right? So by that time, again, we will discuss. Okay. Remember, guys, this constructor topic, again, one more time, we will discuss at the time of parent and child class discussion. Okay. Inheritance concept. Okay. So that time, please remember me if I forgot. Okay. So superoff means what? Default constructor will be, okay, generated. Superoff is what, guys? First line in the default constructor. So here what? We are invoking superclass constructor. We are invoking what? Superclass constructor. Fine?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. So this is what, guys? Default constructor, guys. Okay. Hope you people understand what is default constructor. Clear, everyone?
Clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So what are the rules we have to follow while creating constructor, and what is the default constructor? Okay, what are the prototype of default constructor? So that's what we have discussed today class. Okay, guys. So tomorrow we will continue with other things, guys. Okay. Still I'm having cough. Okay. Tomorrow we will continue other things. Clear, everyone?
Clear.
As of now,
Yes, sir.
any questions regarding constructor? Any questions, guys?
No.
Okay. So tomorrow we will continue remaining other things, guys. Okay. So I think tomorrow we will see other things of constructor, and after that we will see overloaded constructor and all. See this and super, all these things we will discuss. Okay.